Russell Black. He's connected with the J community, was raised over in the Beardale community, grew up with Kimmy and Benny and Ted Russell. And they usually would get together every now and then at a funeral or some outing, and boy, we played some ball. So I'm telling you, Russell, he liked basketball, and he would go back and tell me stories about Benny and Ted and him growing up before we could play basketball together. But thank God he's in heaven this morning. Amen. Good man. Her mama can sing, Lord have mercy. Gail's sisters, 3 or 4, well, all of them can just, boy, they can sing. I'm going to be talking about choices this morning. Choices. All of us had a choice this morning. Mike, he had a choice of getting up and cooking Amy some bacon and grits and eggs, or either throwing her cereal. Getting Amy cereal. But we have choices. You go through life, you have choices. You can either make good choices or you can make bad choices. And a lot of us over the years have made bad choices. But the best choice of all is when we accept Jesus Christ. Amen. I'm going to be reading out of Daniel. That's right behind Ezekiel. And Wade asked me, we're at Daniel, and I said all over. I have got quite a bit of scripture to read, but I'm running late, and I'm going to talk fast, and I got about 15 minutes before y'all can throw turn, and I promise to have you out of here. Daniel chapter 1. Reading from the Living Bible. Now, I've told you many times, my Bible's got King James on one side and the Living Bible on the other side. I'm not quite as smart as some of these preachers, so I have to read from the Living Bible. By the way, Patrick, I appreciate you letting me do this. It's sort of, he lets me do this about once every 2 or 3 months. I'm like the energized bunny. When I get to do it, it energizes me for about 2 or 3, 4 months, and then I'm go back down, and then he'll lift me back up. 3 years after King Jehoram began to rule in Judea, Babylon King Nebuchadnezzar attacked Jerusalem with his army, and the Lord gave him victory over Jehoiakim. When he returned to Babylon, he took along some of the sacred cups from the temple of God and placed them in the treasure of God in the land of Shinar. Then he ordered Asaph, who was in charge of his palace personnel, to select some of the Jewish youths brought back as captives, young men of royal family and nobility of Judea, and to teach them the Chaldean language and literature. Pick strong, healthy, good-looking lads, he said, those who had real widely in many fields, and are well-informed, alert, sensitive, and have enough poise to look good around the palace. The king assigned them to the best of food and wine from his own kitchen during their 3-year training period, planning to make them his counselors when they graduated. Jump down to verse 8. But Daniel made up his mind not to eat the food and wine given to him by the king. He asked the superintendent for permission to eat other things instead. As it happened, God had given the superintendent a special application for Daniel and sent him for his predicament. All right, let's jump over to chapter 3, verse 1. The king, Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold whose height was 60 cubits, and the brethren thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Tyre in the province of Babylon. Then he sent messengers to all the princes, governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, and rulers of all the provinces of the emperor to come to dedication of the statue. When they all had arrived and were standing before the monument, I heard shout out, O people of all nations and languages, this is the king's commandment. When the band strikes up, you're to fall flat on the ground and worship King Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue. Anyone who should refuse to obey will immediately be thrown into a flaming furnace. All right, go over to 14. It is true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he demanded, that you're refusing to serve my gods or to worship the golden statue I set up. I'll give you one more chance. When the music plays, if you fall down and worship the statue, all will be well. But if you refuse, you will be thrown into a flaming furnace within an hour. and what God can deliver you out of the hands of them. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we're not worried about what will happen to us. If we're thrown into the flaming furnace, our God is able to deliver us, and He will deliver us out of your hand. Your Majesty, if He doesn't, please understand, sir, that even then we will never, under any circumstances, serve your God or worship the golden statue you have erected." Jump over to chapter 6 now. This is the last one. "And Darius divided the kingdom into 100 princes, each under a governor. The governors were accountable to 3 presidents. Daniel was one of them. So then the king could administer the kingdom efficiently. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other presidents and governors, for he had great ability, and the king began to think of him placing over all the emperor as his administrative officer. This made the other presidents and governors very jealous, and they began searching for some fault in that way Daniel was handling his affairs, so that he could complain to the king about him. But they couldn't find anything to criticize. He was faithful and honest and made no mistake, so they concluded, our only chance is his religion. Choices. I got 4 young men coming down here this morning. I wanted to illustrate something. I want y'all to understand what I'm talking about. Come on, AJ. I want you to understand, Nebuchadnezzar went to Judea and Jerusalem, and he captured a bunch of young men, and he took them back to a foreign land. Young men, good-looking men, just like these right here. Ain't they good-looking? And he changed their name. Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, Belshazzar. We're going to call him Daniel. He changed her name. He told the superintendent over the kitchen, I want them to fed the best food and give them the best wine. And Daniel and these 3, his friends, had made up their minds that they weren't going to devour their bodies by eating rich food and drinking wine, because their mamas and daddies had always kept them on a vegetable diet. And the superintendent went along with it. He said, I'm going to get in trouble because you're not going to look good. He said, just give us 10 days. And at the end of that 10 days, if we're not healthy and look good, then we'll do something else. And sure enough, at the end of the period of 10 days, they looked great. They were healthy. So that was the first choice. They didn't want to eat the rich food. A 3-year period went by, and Nebuchadnezzar brought these 4 gentlemen before him and asked them all kind of questions, important questions. And they were smart. God had gave them knowledge. See, when we make the right choice in life, God will give us knowledge like that.